Hello and welcome back to the Matt Greer Music channel. So today in this video I wanted to do something of kind of a continuation of something I was doing not too long ago, and that's talking about processing these pocket operators to try to get the most pizzazz out of them. Before I posted a video where I mastered this PO-33 KO through my Digitone to kind of like polish up that sound so it sounds more like a complete track. I'll put a link or like a tag in the upper right hand corner so you can go and watch that if you want to. This is sort of a variation on that theme, but with some different things that you may have around. I realize it doesn't make a lot of sense to master an $80 sampler through a Digitone, which costs many times more than the sampler does, but if you have one, it's a great way to use it. That being said, I'm going to go back to something that a lot of people have at their disposal, and that is an iOS device or a smartphone, and talk about something that you can do with some software. So in this case, I'm going to use this PO-32 Tonic. It's another pocket operator. This one's focused on being a drum machine. It doesn't sample, but it's a nice little piece of gear if you're looking for a little digital drum machine. What I'm going to do is run this through this app on my iPad today. So I've got this going out into this interface. This is a Zoom R8 recorder that can also be a USB interface. I'm using that to be a class compliant interface into the app here. So you can see Zoom R8 there as the source of audio. That's going to be running through this, which is the Klevgrand, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Klev-GR, here it's kind of abbreviated, but it's Klevgrand, and this is called DAW Cassette. Now DAW Cassette, you can run this inside of like a VST, inside of Ableton or whatever DAW you choose, but they also make an AU3 version, which means it'll work on iOS, and that's what we're looking at today. And basically it's a kind of a saturation processor where it kind of models itself after an old school tape deck. So I'll show you kind of what this sounds like clean first, and then I'll kind of show you what the DAW Cassette processor does. And again, this is just to give you an idea of things that you can do that you might already have around to make your pocket operators and simple devices sound bigger, sound more interesting, sound clean. Obviously you don't have to use this on a pocket operator. You can use it on any synths, or maybe you have recordings that you want to give like the old like dust to and make them sound like they were recorded on a crusty old tape deck, or maybe you're into the lo-fi thing. Anyway, you can find your own use, but this is an example that I thought you might find interesting. So let me go ahead and play this beat. Simple pattern that I have going on my PO-32 here. Alright, now while that's going, I'm going to open up this Klevgrand DAW Cassette processor, and I'll show you some of the functions. Now you've got noise here. You can choose between off, low, or high. You can choose the type of tape, so you've got normal, chrome, and metal. If you're familiar or you're from the 80s like me, you'll know what those are. And then you've got motor quality, head quality, and tape quality. Now let's start talking about what those things do. So let me turn up the input here. You can tell it kind of adds this crusty noise and distortion sound to everything. It's sort of some strange artifacts and harmonics and things, but in a pleasing musical way. You can adjust the dry or wet of the mix, so there's back to like clean. Turn it back up. You can turn down the motor quality. This adds some like pitch warble to everything. I actually like that turned up a bit. You've got head quality, so lower sounds more distant and kind of rough. Turned all the way up, it gets a little cleaner, a little more clear. And here's the tape quality. All the way down, it's like a cheap tape that's worn out. All the way up, maybe your brand new metal, top of the line cassette tape. I like mine turned down a bit because I'm trying to introduce this kind of sound. You've got noise here. noise now. Turn it up high. Some people will hear that and love that. Personally, I remember it when it was something you tried to avoid, so I still have that tendency to want to. I'll leave it low though, just so we can tell it's there. Different tape types. You kind of lose frequency on those. Alright, so that's the front panel. And this is, like I said, it's just kind of a lo-fi saturation and distortion machine. It's kind of similar to the vinyl simulator on the SP404, except for in this case, instead of vinyl, it's emulating cassette. Now there is a backside, quote unquote backside to this machine, and you can get into some more controls here. There's a 4-band EQ. There's the tape head tilt, which we'll get to that in just a little bit. And then there's some bleed and functions for the noise. So let me start it up here. Turn the noise way up. You can choose the type of noise, so I can go between white or pink. I like the pink noise, and I like that to kind of sit in the background. And there's the bleed. I don't know how to describe bleed, and I haven't actually read the manual, so I may say this completely wrong, but the way it sounds is like the bleed, when you turn it up, it seems like it sort of fuses the noise with the signal, whereas if it's turned down, it sounds like there's more of like a more clearly defined layer of separation between the noise sound and the signal. If I turn that up, it kind of sounds blended in with everything else. So when I turn it down, let me do that. It sounds more separate. It sounds a little more mixed in. Again, I might have described that completely wrong, but that's just kind of what it seems like to me. The other thing here, and I saved this for last, is the tape head tilt. And this is a great way where you can add some stereo separation. So in this case, this is a mono signal. I can sort of get some things playing in the left and right channel by messing with this tilt. So just a little bit on that livens it up quite a lot. If I double tap, it'll go back to 0. But if I turn it just a bit, it adds just a little bit of lag between the two stereo channels, and it just sounds more spread out. So another nice little trick for mono signals to kind of add some life to them. So let's see, let's turn off the noise here and just see if we can get something interesting going. If you really overdrive it, it'll get nasty sounding. Anyway, that's it. Klevgrand. It's called DAW Cassette. Check it out. You might like it for your iOS device or DAW or what have you. I tell you, I like things like this sometimes because it kind of helps keep the gas monster at bay. Like sometimes I find myself wanting something new for the studio, even though I don't need anything new for the studio. But you know, I look at gear and I'm like, oh yeah, there's this. But I don't want to spend the money, and I really don't need to. You know, a few bucks on something like this kind of keeps that gas monster at bay, and it feels like you get something new, and it might inspire you to make your next masterpiece. So yep, Anyway, that is it for today. Just wanted to show you guys that. I've got another set of videos coming up around various pocket operator type things, so look for those coming up. As always, if you have questions, tell me in the comments, and I will see you guys later. Bye.